have for several years kicked off the RTF or NAB with our good friend Paul McLane from Radio World. So I'm going to hand the clicker over to Paul.
Good morning. Thank you for welcoming me. It's a privilege to break morning muffins with you. That's us last year. You guys look good. That was in the Flamingo. And I just want to say thank you for not making us walk down that very long hallway. For newbies, I'm the editor of Radio World. Here's a quick taster of what I'll be watching for at the convention. I apologize if I move quickly. I'll try not to talk too quickly, but the idea is basically to say, here's some things I think it might be worth looking for. Radio, of course, is only a small part of the convention. Expect a lot of discussions around these macro themes about the media ecosystem, the huge role of sports and media, the explosion in the creator economy, the massive impact of streaming, the integration of AI into every corner of media, and the transformative technologies of virtualization and the cloud. And of course, these all have bearing on radio too. Your experience will be influenced by the overhaul of the Convention Center campus. After they opened the massive new West Hall a few years ago, now they've brought the legacy Central and North Halls up to snuff. This shows the new front where many of us will enter. There's a lovely new lobby, and if you wanted to go over to South Hall, there's now a new indoor concourse. The NAB has concentrated many of the radio and TV technology exhibitors in the Central Hall, in an area around a TV and radio headquarters. This is a detail of Central, showing where these broadcast exhibitors are clustered. Not all. There are relevant companies elsewhere, including a lot of AI in the West Hall. This is an area you'll want to spend time in. This is just inside the newly renovated front. So to the left on this map are the Las Vegas Loop Station and the monorail. Nautel is smack in the middle of this area. So a really nice job on booth selection, guys. We've talked about the growing role of cloud. This year it has exploded in radio with one announcement after another, particularly in automation, music scheduling, and other functions that were common in software but run locally. A few examples on the screen. RCS, Selector Cloud. The company has a big presence, of course, in automation in the cloud. Now they're doing a Selector platform in the cloud. Wide Orbit Aurora. They're making a big push for this, emphasizing that it can work in the cloud, on-premise, and hybrid. That kind of option is important in all of these systems. Radio Cloud has the cloud right in its name there. It has introduced a music scheduler called Curator Cloud, and Broadcast Electronics is under new ownership. I'm not supposed to say that name in this room, but the latest version of its Audio Vault automation platform has a fully revamped cloud version. vCreative had an announcement this week, and Mary Del Grande kind of captured the trend here. She says, the industry is moving rapidly away from fragile, locally managed infrastructure towards scalable, cloud-based workflows. Pardon me. There are a lot of examples of this trend. This one combines cloud with AI. Enco has had success with its AI track dynamic content insertion technology. It has moved this into a cloud-native platform. So this is accessible from any browser, works with any automation, uses generative AI, it uses natural-sounding synthetic voices, and it's been getting more and more sophisticated. So we're seeing this trend of cloud and AI playing out. The cloud is also changing how content is distributed. Skyview Networks is promoting Zerocast in a suite at the Wynn. You can now take the loop over to the Wynn, by the way, right from the front of Central. Skyview says, traditional hardware that receives satellite feeds has become a burden, and with the upper C-band under threat now, another threat to C-band, there's a need to migrate from satellite to IP. Zerocast is a cloud-native audio platform for radio. It does real-time per-affiliate ad assembly and automation triggering. Skyview says this platform improves on other IP distribution platforms because it supports ad targeting and content personalization without proprietary hardware. So they are here at the show in a suite, and they are at Zerocast.com. I hope you'll join me this afternoon at 3 p.m. for a session that takes place on the exhibit floor in Central. And in that discussion, I'll start by saluting Andy Gladding. Andy is here. Andy, can you stand up for a moment? Andy's in the front. Please congratulate this year's recipient of Radio World's Excellence in Engineering Award.
well earned if you know Andy and how hard he works and how much good work he's doing at bringing younger people and enthusiasm into our industry. Andy and I then will be joined by Bud Williamson, who's also here this morning for a conversation called Radio, the New Boutique Business. Andy and Bud are both engineers, but they're also station owners, and that gives them a unique perspective on owning local radio, including Andy's feeling that owning a station is a great fit for Gen X and millennial professionals in an age when many of these younger people are looking for business opportunities like owning farms or opening retail establishments. Why not local radio? Seems like a pretty good opportunity. So we're going to talk about that today at 3 o'clock in Central. Distributed infrastructure does bring risks, and here's a panel I'm keeping an eye on in the Broadcast Engineering Conference. You may find it interesting. Steve Schultes of New York Public Radio will moderate. He notes that today's signals travel through our offices, transmitter sites, remote locations, rooftops, each of these introducing operational risks that may challenge our traditional assumptions in security planning. So this is going to get into things like threat intelligence aggregation systems, a big fancy word for a pretty cool technology that helps you know where your potential risks might be, alerting platforms that provide situational awareness in geographic areas, and site monitoring using AI-assisted video analytics. Sophisticated stuff. How does it apply in engineering? Steve Schultes is just the guy to help us understand that. I know Rob Bertrand's also in the room. This presentation already happened, but it's something we'll be covering. Rob is with Inrush Broadcast Services and spoke at the PRAC, the Public Radio Engineering Conference. He started digging some years back into the accuracy of the PPM rating system when he was at CBS in New York. He was taking care of big all-news and all-sports operations there, and so PPM accuracy can make a huge difference in a market like that, or any real market for that matter. And then in Washington at WAMU, he applied a lot of what he learned. As the pandemic came along, you may remember headlines saying that radio ratings for public spoken word stations were dropping. And knowing how passionate these audiences are, Rob thought he'd look into that some more. And so he built a PPM lab, and his preliminary findings appear to indicate that spoken word stations, especially public all-news stations, are being undercounted by PPM. So he laid out some steps that stations can help to apply to remedy this, starting with an analysis of your PPM encoding. Not a topic to get into detail here, but something we'll be covering in Radio World and worth watching. Rob Bertrand's with Inrush. Now, also this year, the SBE-NS workshop, of course, is an important part of the show, but it's starting later than usual. There are 2 tracks. They are Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 tracks both days. One is about RF basics. The other is called Emerging Technology. And a notable session is Loudness and Dialogue Intelligibility. David Bialik helped put this together, and it has some big names in audio processing on it. Relevant for TV, but also for radio with all the video we're doing and all the streaming that we're doing. And I asked David Bialik, hey, help me understand why loudness is important in radio, and he sent me this photo. Self-explanatory. Nothing like getting blasted when you're reading a book or you're having your mellow bath time by an advertisement that blows you out of the water, literally. And of course, this is becoming more of an issue with states like California adopting legislation to regulate the loudness of broadcast and online spots. This session is Tuesday in the NS workshop. Telecom circuits and links are a big deal in this business, of course. Dan Merwin is a telecom veteran. He'll give an NS talk about this. He told me Starlink, of course, will continue to evolve and get better. And we also will see the impact of space-based 5G and Amazon's Project Kuiper constellation. SD-WAN is mature, as that slide will show you. So the need for expensive links like MPLS and Metro Ethernet has been greatly reduced. Dan's NS session is Tuesday afternoon. Kintronic Labs believes it has a game-changing replacement for mica capacitors. Tom King is here. I would just like to ask this room to acknowledge Tom King as an awesome engineer. A man of integrity and a family of integrity, and we've been privileged to have the King family in our business and continue to. The AM band uses capacitors and tuning networks and phaser cabinets, of course, typically very expensive part of the design, and Kintronics has already switched from using primarily mica to vacuum capacitors once they became too costly. Nick Blomstrand has been working on a design with a consultant for budgetary situations, budget-oriented situations where cost is a real concern. So these are small, temperature stable, they offer arc over protection, they should be less damaging, less at risk from damage to lightning strikes. And so this is particularly of interest to you if you're in the Great Plains or Florida where lightning's a big problem. Dielectric. Ringmaster Series high-efficiency FM antenna systems. They're promising big reductions in complexity and tower load. They briefed us on this last year, and now this antenna is shipping. There are fewer components because of an innovative wavelength spacing design. They're combining full and half wavelength spaced arrays and promising full FM bandwidth performance, saving weight, saving cost, saving loading. This antenna is suitable for multi-station systems on one antenna. Early users include this one, Vertical Bridge. They installed an auxiliary system at Cedar Hill to transmit FM and HD radio for 10 stations in Dallas-Fort Worth. Excuse me. The allergies have gotten me this year. Wheatstone always has interesting stuff. They're here with the VMX mixing platform and a new virtual console that runs on any browser. VMX serves as a mixing backend for multiple studios as well as utility mixers in a WheatNet network. I was over visiting their booth yesterday. The team was getting trained up on it, and they were getting more and more impressed with what it could do. So this sounds like something you might want to check out if you're in the market for this sort of thing. And the VML is a virtual broadcast console that can be accessed via browser using HTML5. So laptop, tablet, phone, you bring the VML right up there. Wheatstone is also in Central. Thailand too. Thailand will exhibit the new Gateway Nexus, a high-density AOIP codec that they call deterministic low-latency multi-channel audio transport, 32 channels. This can be deployed in hosted and data center environments. It's a cost-effective alternative to virtualized codec and server-based systems. Part of the fun at NAB show is audio processing. From the Telos Alliance, Omnia has a new flagship for FM, HD, and DAB. This is the Omnia 12, written in Roman numerals. It occupies 2 rack units. It has a 5-band AGC and compressor section, 6-band limiter, smart EQ, and Omnia's popular bass management. Comes with RDS, as well as loudness and power meters, tons of analog, digital, and AOIP inputs and outputs. What does a top-end audio processor cost now? $99.95, just under $10,000. And because this is a Frank Foti box, it comes with a notable clipper. And because it's a Frank Foti box, he called it after his cat. And his cat's name is Clemenza. From the Godfather novels, Omnia calls it Frank's cleanest, most musical clipper. And so now we can say, leave the gun and take the clipper. The cannoli. Also asked them about their Axia Pulsar console. This one is offbeat, and I wasn't going to include it until I saw a video demo of this online. It's a video product, but there's so many applications. This is a tiny AI-powered spatial audio 4K webcam, and of course you use it in radio and podcasting. It promises professional-grade audio and video. It's so tiny, and it costs $200. It has 3 microphones, AI-driven noise reduction. You can use it for directional, dual-directional spatial audio. It has a voice locator with technology inside that combines microphone beamforming with AI tracking, so its camera will detect the direction of an active speaker, automatically rotate toward the source, and then transition to visual tracking. And it can also be used for driving virtual avatars and voices. So if you're a modern content creator and you want to not have to wear a suit to get your avatar doing like what your body's doing, this can be part of that ecosystem. This is a tool for today's times, but you buy it on Amazon, and it costs $200. Couple items before I go. Xperi has just announced a new service called the DTS AutoStage Broadcaster Portal Premium. I know Joe D'Angelo is here, and I'm sure he will tell you about it. So I'll just reinforce how much amazing information AutoStage now provides to a broadcaster. And now they're offering a premium access level on a subscription basis with insights based on data from millions of vehicles, and that population is growing every day. So the more cars, the more accurate a reflection of an overall market you're getting. It really is a very sophisticated platform. And Q has issued its third in-vehicle visuals report. I've talked about it before. A key finding is that screens now are everywhere inside cars, not just at the center stack, right in front of the driver, right in front of the passenger, right in front of the back seats. Q found 68 out of the top 100 top-selling models in America now have not one, but multiple screens, 68. Radio needs to be visual in this environment. These systems are also becoming more intuitive, easier for people to use. But while AM and FM radio was in every one of those top 100 models, it is increasingly harder to find. Steve says the challenge is not availability, it's discoverability. Finally, many of you know Bert Goldman from his work at companies like ABC Disney, Nationwide, and Shamrock. Most recently, he has his own consulting business, and he's played a huge role with Geo Broadcast Solutions systems. He is a nationally respected expert in spectrum analysis, FCC rules, boosters, translators, and more. Bert, are you here, Bert? Bert, please stand up. Congratulations. Very well earned, Bert. Thank you for joining us this morning. Now, longtime NUG alumni know this is the point in the program where I usually throw out some Radio World t-shirts. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. Let me as a reminder of the history of this. I told you in years past I badly wanted a t-shirt cannon, but my wife wouldn't let me spend the money. And remember, I asked AI for inspiration, and it suggested I dress up as a cowboy, rent myself a t-shirt pistol, or that I toss them from a tower, or get an old-fashioned Big Bertha railroad gun to throw my t-shirts. And then, the year that I discovered there really is one, a Gatling gun, a t-shirt Gatling gun. But Mrs. McLane said no, because it costs $4,000. And enough of you have suggested that I look into this that I did research it this year. I researched a rental. It's Las Vegas. Everything costs an arm and a leg. And I do get a rich speaking fee from Nautel for this gig, but I didn't want to blow it all on this. It turns out there is a solution. Welcome, David, a next-generation end-to-end t-shirt solution that is both comprehensive and cost-effective, designed for the demands of 21st century media technology content creators. It is David. Did anybody here go to Bible study ever? Hello? All right. John Casey, Nick Langan, please join me on the podium for David, and we are going to try out Radio World's new AI-based t-shirt slingshot. All right.
Center?
Yes, the
31
chandeliers
side to
are
side.
at risk here, ladies and gentlemen. So why don't
You're gonna have to get low.
All right, I know. So let's have you stand here. Start here.
I was gonna say, okay.
You two stand right here.
Position is important.
I will sit behind you. Hold it up high so they can see it. Here is David. All right, let's hear it for David. So we can. Everybody, watch your coffee. We had that 3 years ago. I don't want that lawsuit again. All right. Now I'm gonna
Back it up.
There we go. John says I got to go far back. Can I reach Kevin Rogers? I don't know about that. All right.
On first glance, not
All
too
right.
bad. All right.
I know, but there's other speakers behind me, so I'm going to be quick here. Let's try it real quick. All right. Two. Oh, yeah. Should have trained up at spring training. Might just turn them around. There we go. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3.
That was a good one. Want to go to the other side?
Yep, let's go. One, two, three. Oh! You don't want to miss this side. If I can hit William Harrison, I know I've got to hit him. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Back to the center.
Steve, Joe, Deborah, I am so sorry. All right, here's the last. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Oh, right up the middle. Somebody grab that.
Good?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.